So Taryn,
Roxanne,
before you joined the podcast, 2 years ago, Mike and RoxTalks in the world, I should say. Of course, there was the terrible murder, and I do call it murder, and I hope everyone's okay with that because that's what it was. But murder of George Floyd, and it really had this impact on the world, one that I didn't think, frankly, was ever going to happen. And at that time, I had a lot of people reaching out to me, a lot of my Caucasian friends reaching out to me for a myriad of reasons, but also wanting to have the conversation, not sure how they should have the conversation with others. And so what I did was I took a pause in the podcast and did a little help from my friends. And I reached out to 3 of my friends and asked them if they would join me and just have that conversation. And we talked about just the impact of that. And it was a diverse group of friends as well, because I think it's important to have that representation. Well, that episode had a huge impact on the listeners. And I still hear people just saying thank you for that, because it gave them more clarity and more healing and more, is it okay to feel how we feel? And I think it would be remiss, seeing that we are 2 years now since that happened, to not talk about the impact that's had on network marketing, because a lot of light was shown on wow, network marketing companies, we get a lot of flack in general, the network marketing industry, but wow, they're so homogenized, frankly. And even the LulaWoe podcast, or LulaWoe, in the podcast, yes, but in the LulaRich
documentary,
they call that out big time. And so I thought to have this conversation now would be great. And there was no better person to ask to join us than Maisha Dible. Maisha Dible is a force to be reckoned with. She's phenomenal. I mean, she just is. You're going to find out in a second. But she is also the #1 African-American earner in her company. And she has started something called Diversity with which she'll tell us a little about later, on just encouraging and helping people who are interested in having diverse teams for their network marketing businesses. So I know I thank you during this, but I want to thank you, Taryn, for being here for this. Seriously.
Of course. I'm excited. It was a great conversation. So let's share it with you guys.
Maisha Dible, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I was going to lie and say I'm good. I've felt better, but that's not the point today. We're talking about this very important subject. And so I'm rallying for this. I have to tell you a couple of things. So first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with me, because I know that because I know it's not an easy conversation to have. And I also want to thank Taryn, because when I did a podcast right after the murder of George Floyd, I had some friends come on and they were just kind of like, I'm nervous, to be the only white person talking, or the only non-minority. Well, you're a woman, but still can be a little scary. So Taryn, I want to thank you for saying, yep, I'm going to be here, because I think it's very important. Black people can have a conversation amongst Black people all they want, but that is not going to move the needle anywhere. It has to be a dialogue with many. So I want to thank you both for being here and having this conversation. So,
of course.
Yeah, we're 2 years. Can you believe it's been 2 years since George Floyd was murdered? It actually feels like longer in some ways. And then in some ways it feels like it just happened.
Right.
And people might be wondering, why are you bringing this up, Roxanne, on a podcast about network marketing and social media? Because it impacts everything. And what I thought was really interesting, and I actually did not expect, was when George Floyd was murdered, it caused this conversation in every single aspect of our lives. And the conversation came to direct marketing. It came to direct selling, social selling, whatever you want to call it, of, wait a moment, are we diverse? Do we have diversity on our teams inside corporate? And are we recognizing that and making a difference about it? So I want to ask you, Maisha, where 2 years ago and a few days, where would you say the state of network marketing was?
So it's interesting. I love this question, because I think before this happened, everyone was kind of like in this business as usual. if you will. And then this horrific, situation happened. And I remember pausing and thinking, the last thing I want to do is sell X, Y, and Z. And I think that it took my counterparts who did not look like me, who were not Black, it really woke them up to being like, oh, wow, it didn't affect me near as much as is it affecting my Black counterparts, or it opened the door on how diverse is my team, to your point, because if it was business as usual, even after that for them, that probably showed them that their teams and businesses weren't very diverse. So, and the importance of that, I think. So for me, it really just halted my business, if you will, or my life. And it made me reflect on the importance, the things that are important, life, all of that. Because I think we get so wrapped up in our businesses that we don't take time to pause and for ourselves and even to just be in thought. And I think that can open so many doors for opportunities if people take the time to do that.
That's a really good point. I think that we get so into doing the income producing activity that we don't even know, is it okay for us to pause today? Like, something happened in the world. Can I not talk about my business? Can I talk about that? Or can I just pause and not talk about anything?
Right. And be okay with it. I think that there's so many people that are so business, that they feel like if they don't talk about business for one day, 1 week, whatever, that their business is going to deflate. And that's not always the case. Because honestly, I felt like people were like, needed that that breath of fresh air is what I'm trying to say. Like, okay, it is okay for me to have these feelings. And it's okay for me to not talk about what I do and maybe even reflect on what's happening in the world, because I'm a human and I have these emotions and all those things. I think so many times people are taught, don't talk about X, Y, and Z on your social media because it's going to hurt your business. That's not true, because truly people buy who you are. And I think if you're coming from a very authentic place, like obviously you don't want to be bashing and doing all those things, right? But I think if you're being your authentic person, or then that's going to attract also like-minded people too.
I agree. We had talked about this a few episodes back of, should you talk about heavy topics on your social media, or should it be just business? And if it's affecting you, you should talk about it. Like, it's okay to pause. And I like that you're giving that kind of permission, because people need to hear that.
I think I had to look back at what I did actually on those days. I think I was in mourning for this person whom I didn't know. But I also said, I want to pause. I want to take a time to reflect on what had just happened. And for anyone else who is feeling like, what in the world, you were not alone. And I think a lot of people appreciated that, just that, like you said, permission to feel, a permission to take a pause and say, yes, I'm a business owner and a mom and all these things, but I'm also very sympathetic when something horrific happens to someone. And it's okay for me to say, man, this stinks, this hurts, and it's not right. So I think anytime you have to not be your authentic self, you're not growing an authentic business.
Ooh, that'll preach. I do think it will. I do think it's, I often tell people, like, listen, unless it's the mountain you want to die on, don't talk about it. Right. So be aware that you may get some backlash, or you may get some people who don't agree with you, and decide, do I care?
Right.
And if you don't care, then that's the mountain. I was talking to someone just the other day, because of course, there are a lot of people who have a lot of opinions about what's going on in the Supreme Court right now. And she came out of the proverbial, like, here's my stance closet. And I saw her story, and I reached out to her, my clients. I'm like, okay, so you found the mountain to die on. And she was like, I did. I'm like, I go, and that is okay, because everyone will find that mountain. I think what we have to remember, though, is to be aware of that, because some people will look back and go, wait, that's not really the mountain I want to die. Like, I don't care about whether we should be wearing blue shirts or red shirts. Why did I go crazy wonky about that? But then there's some social issues that are the mountains that I'm not saying you're going to die on it, but you're okay if you lose people because it's more important for you to stand for something.
Well, and I think in general too, if somebody decides they don't want to support your business because of your stance, if you will, or your hill, then maybe they were your people in general, were they going to be there for the long haul? Maybe not. And that's okay too. And people have to understand, people come and go in business, right? I will shop at one grocery store and then go to another because maybe they have something else that I need or the product that I need. And I don't think that other grocery store is like, my business is over, and I think people have to get out of their heads that it is the be all when we get customers and think that these people are going to be there for life. That's very unrealistic. We hope they are, but I think it's very unrealistic to think that they're not going to grab different things from here. That's just the way that we are. Let's just be honest. And I think that people get so upset and caught up on things like that. I try not to. I'm like, you know what? I love that I could help you for this season. And I hope for the next season you can come back and I can help service you. And I think people respect you a lot more in that way because they're like, man, she was really genuine and sweet and not like nasty that I went and tried XYZ with so-and-so. So, I always try to take things with a grain of salt because of that situation with him, life is too short. And I can't live my life thinking that tomorrow is promised. And so I'm going to go full force every single day, being authentic to myself and just hoping that I reach the right people and help the right people.
You always make me smile. This is why you are the top woman of color, African-American, maybe both, leader in your company. And like one of the first to get to all these milestones. So of course it's like, but it's because of who you are. And I have to ask you because your team is diverse. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
How was that intentional? Is that something you looked back on and said, oh, look, or was it an intentional thing?
I have intentionally lived my life to be diverse. I grew up in a non-diverse community and it's interesting. So maybe this will relate to someone or some people. I obviously grew up in a very poor Black neighborhood. And I saw all these people that I loved around me just doing going the 9-to-5 grind, but never rising to their potential. And my mom moved me 15 minutes north of where I grew up. And it was very, very white. I'll just be honest. And I was one of few in my high school class. So I had a high school class of 250 people. And I want to say maybe I could count all the Black people on one hand in my class. And I thought, all of my life lessons, these, 18 years in high school, what have I learned? And I learned that everybody brings something to the plate. And who am I to not, give them that opportunity to rise to the top because they all deserve it. Then I went to college and played sports and I was surrounded again by not a very diverse community, but I saw these minorities thriving and they didn't care and they just wanted an opportunity. So again, my mind is like, what can I be doing to help as many people who look like me, who don't look like me, just have an opportunity to shine in their light? Then fast forward comes, network marketing, and it is the perfect, vehicle or channel for anyone, no matter your background, your education, all those things. And I was like, this is it. This is my chance to help as many people as I can. So I intentionally tried to surround myself with as diverse network as I could because I wanted to learn from everybody because I am not naive to think that I know everything. So it was so important for me to learn and be surrounded. And I have my country loving music friends. I have my rap and R&B and alternative. And it's very interesting listening or seeing my music will tell you how diverse my network is. So I always like to tell people, how diverse is your music love? If it's not very diverse, you need to diverse your group.
I like that.
Mine's very diverse. So
good. I love it.
You got to get her into some 70s music, but other than that, she's doing all right. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a lot of 80s, but not too much 70s. Yeah.
It's the youth in you. It's okay. We're working on it. We're working
Yeah.
Do you ever get exhausted being the one?
Sure. I think I would be not being authentic if I told you everything's great. No, it is, because you are constantly being pulled in these different directions from consultants or business owners who don't want to do the work. They want you to do their work. Mm-hmm. And so then I spend my time trying to educate on, but is it authentic if I am doing it for you? What connection do I have with this person?
Let me translate. Let me translate. Hey, I have a Black friend and I want her to know that there are Black people in the company. So I know Maisha. I met her like at an event, or I heard her speak. I'm going to reach out to her and see if she will talk to my prospect.
Or they don't even know me. They've never met me. And they just
oh my God,
see me on social media and say, she'll do it.
Yep.
Yep. Oh,
I remember those days. Those were fun. I'm like, I don't even know. Do you do it? Because I would do it. I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. I would do it, but it was a weird conversation even, because I'm being honest with the person, but.
I used to do it. I no longer do.
Good for you.
If it's for my team, sure, absolutely, because that's who I'm trying to support. But now I educate and I say, I would absolutely love to support you in your business. Tell me more about this person that you're wanting me to connect with. And then it's usually I don't hear back from them, or it's a very generic, well, I met her through or him through a person, and I thought that you guys would best, connect. And then I will just simply say, is it because I'm Black? And this person's Black? And then that usually is like, oh, no, that's not what I.
That's what you meant.
We have nothing else in common besides that. So
yeah,
it's really telling. So then again, that's where I'm coming from. This network marketing needs so much more education on how to grow a diverse team, because right now we've just got it just getting started.
Yeah. Do you have tips on that you're open to sharing today?
Sure. I mean, again, if you don't have a diverse music selection, then I'm just using that as a, then it's going to be not very authentic when you are talking to someone who doesn't look like you or isn't you. Mm-hmm. So I always pride myself on getting to know someone, the good old kindergarten rule, right? When you go into kindergarten, we just want to meet friends. We want to have as many friends as we can so we can go and have somebody to swing with on the playground. And as adults, we have to have that same mentality. I want to have as many friends as I can, acquaintances, because I don't know who they're going to connect me to and who we can go swing on the swing set with. Right. So I think that I always try to get back to that elementary mindset on getting to know someone, because when you find out who they are, what they do for a living, their family, what makes them, excited, all those things, those doors for business opportunities will open genuinely. But if you're truly just, I don't have a diverse team, so I'm looking for an Indian, a Black, that's not authentic, and people will see through that in a heartbeat. So I know that's very elementary, but it is elementary. You should truly just genuinely try to get to know people.
Yeah, I love that. Because go ahead, Roxanne.
I was just going to say, it reminds me of when I was, my dad and I went on college trips when I was going to college. We went to Baylor, which I ended up going to. But I'll never forget, we were standing in front of the Union, and my dad's like looking around. My dad is a college professor. He kept looking around, like, what is he looking around? And then all of a sudden, he starts jetting across the lawn, far, mind you, because he saw a Black person on campus. And he wanted to talk to that Black person to see what it was like for his daughter if she ended up going on this campus. So you can imagine this 5'3" Trinidadian man, like running, and there's like, excuse me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. But when I think about people saying, what, I need this, and this, like it's a checklist, it's like that. Like, I see one. Let me run after this minority. I want to be diverse. Let me run after them. And then say, you should join my team. And that is not authentic.
No. Mm-hmm. And it happens a lot. I will even say in the reverse, maybe to your dad's point, is conventions and get-togethers and events. When you see a group, I know I've done it. I'm like, oh, there's one black person. Oh, I'm not alone. That's, and that's sad. I can't wait until this group of people, we get to a place where it's not like that anymore. And it's so diverse and unique. And I can't wait. That energy is going to be phenomenal. Not that it's not great now, don't get me wrong, but it can be so much more. And that's what I'm so excited for.
Well, I think it's so important.
Agreed.
And they talk about beauty coming from ashes, and what happened 2 years ago definitely was ashes. But the beauty in that is that it did bring more awareness to people looking around going, I never thought about this. How many people do I know that may not look like me? Maybe I can do a better job of that, because truly when we are around people we don't look like, we learn so much more. And I'm thankful that my upbringing was, like you were talking about your high school class of 750, and there were like 5 of us that were Black. And while I've got some stories that would shock you from that experience, and then I went to Baylor, which also is predominantly is not a HBCU. I never say that right. But because I was always used to being the minority, while that comes with its, I don't know, I don't want to call it baggage, but maybe it is baggage. It also gives you an ability to understand and be empathetic to many different people. Yep. And I would say, if you're sitting here listening and you're like, wow, but that wasn't, I grew up with everyone like me and I'm still with everyone like me. It's not too late to meet people who aren't like you. There's still time, and it can make such an astounding difference.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, people get just comfortable, right? Like that's usually the biggest word that comes to mind is, are you comfortable where you're at? Are you comfortable in your business? Do you truly want to take your business to the next level? Then you got to get uncomfortable. And there's nothing wrong with being comfortable, to your point. If you love your circle, you love your network, you love your music selection. I get that. But man, how rich will it be if you just sprinkle in there, right, a little 70s? Or what if you sprinkle in there a little country? It's so funny, like my kids now, I mean, they're in a day and age, a lot of social media, a lot of music that I truly don't understand. But I also know if I'm going to relate to these kiddos, I've got to start listening to the listen, and I've got to start understanding the note cap and all the language and all the things that they say and do, because I want to have I want to relate. I want to be able to have a conversation with someone who is 18 and understand what they're talking about. And I think sometimes people are like, no, why would I want to talk to a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old or whatever? I mean, it's the same thing that we used to probably think growing up. Man, our parents are old and they were in their 40s. Well, I'm in my 40s and I know I'm not old. So, it's just about growing and being okay with a little bit of getting uncomfortable, so that your world and your network can just thrive.
It makes you relevant. I think if you get uncomfortable, you become irrelevant.
And what's fun with social media, because I know there are negatives to it, but it has expanded our reach of being able to reach different types of people out there. Because I know I grew up in a very white neighborhood. And when I moved to Chicago, I was mind blown at all the different just cultures. And I threw myself into it, and I would treat patients, and within one day, I might have had to use a translator for like 6 different languages, and my mind was blown. But then I come back to my small town and it's still kind of the same way it was. So it's like social media gives us that ability to reach different communities. If you are in a smaller area where it is, still a little bit segregated, or there's just people that look like you.
Yeah. So. I get to live every day. So my husband is white. He grew up in an extremely small community. I think 30 people was in his community. His high school class was 21, and he was one of 16 boys. So a majority of them was that right? Boys or girls? I think, no, 16 girls. The rest were boys. So everyone was like a sister, he said all the time. But I'll never forget the first time I went to his hometown. You have to imagine it's in small town Kansas. And I am like, I'm Black. How is this going to work? Right? Like, where are we going? I remember he said, drop your car off. We're going to come pick you up at the Dairy Queen. And my dad and I are going to come pick you up. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. I leave my car and I thought this may be the last time I ever see my car again. Nobody knows where I'm at. This was the time of no cell phones. It's crazy town. What am I doing? And it's fields. They're driving me in fields and fields and fields. And I was like, this is it. This is that movie that I have watched over and over again. And it was the most lovely experience. I mean, obviously we got married. We got 3 amazing kids. But I joke now to his dad when he came and picked me up. I go, I literally thought you were going to I was it. And he just laughed and he was like, well, I may have thought about it. And again, I know.
Yeah.
But it was this point where a person can come from a 30-person community to marrying a Black girl. I was the first Black person in his town. So think of all the years that have gone by. Cause we've been married 19 years. So it's like, how in the world has time gone that long and not anyone who looked like me been in that community? And that is all over the world that's happening. So what I'm getting at when it comes to network marketing and growing your business is people are always looking to grow who they know. It is our job to just simply introduce ourselves.
I love how, again, simple you make it, because it really is. These are the simple parts of it, right? And I hope that's refreshing to people, because I know to this day I get contacted all the time from people who really do want to have a diverse team. They really they see the value in it. They want it, but they just don't know how to make that happen without seeming like the person like my dad running across, like I found one. And so I think your advice is so poignant with that as well too.
Well, if to go back to how I kind of help people, also think about what interests you, because you got to stay true to yourself. So I love sports. So if I were to be a new network marketer and I know I love sports or whatever my hobby may be, I'm going to go on social media and try to find groups like that. Or I'm going to go in my community and try to find like-minded groups like that. If it's knitting, whatever it may be. And then I'm going to embed myself into that group to get to know as many people as I can. I'm going to be talking about this group on social media. I met the most fantastic people in X, Y, and Z group. If you are a lover of sports, or if you are a lover of this, you've got to be a part of this community. Start showing up in that community, and you're going to find that people are like, man, she or he really loves this just as much as I do. I got to get to know this person more. And I think if you start becoming that genuine with all things that you do in your life, you're going to find more diverse people are going to be becoming a part of your life too. And I think that's what's so important.
Finding those similarities and celebrating them. What about the person who says, but wait, I have this rank I need to get to tomorrow, or because that lack mindset it's that balance.
Yeah. Well, it's greed and all those things is a deadly sin for a reason, right? And it's unfortunate, but here's the thing. We all have things we're shooting for. And if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. It's not going to happen instantly. And I think that's where people have to be realistic with themselves. If you recruit 10 Black people, that does not mean you're going to have 10 amazing top leaders. That means that you're going to have 10 people that you have to coach and get to know and build relationships with. Are you willing to put in that work? And if the answer is no, then you're not doing it authentically. And so I think that sometimes people get so caught up in these titles and trips and things like that. They're all fantastic, but you have to keep in mind, you can lose it as quickly as you get it. And is a relationship more important than a trip or a title? And if it's not, then that's a whole nother podcast, right?
Yes.
Amen. Oh, amen. So this has been so good, and I'm so thankful for you having this conversation with us. And definitely, if anyone is, you need to find Maisha. By the way, her reels crack me up on a regular basis. But what's going on with you now? What's your plans?
So I really found my heal or my passion, right, is to help as many people as I can grow their business in diversity. I think it's so important. It's so needed. Again, my passion, y'all heard my story. I want to help as many diverse people rise to the top with as many views as they can. So I started Diversity with because I could see this call or this need for this. And so you can get one-on-one coaching, you can get team coaching, you can get, on the corporate level, I've done things. So it's just a way for me to help train and open that door for people to see how they can authentically and genuinely grow their businesses with people who isn't in their music genre, right? People who just want a little bit more. So they can definitely find me on social media. And then in my link, I have where you can click on Diversity with and answer a couple of questions and we can get started. But it's super simple. I am a down to earth, but I will tell you how it is. But most importantly, my goal is to help you grow, whatever that looks like for you.
I encourage anyone who has a desire to diversify their team or just their world to really reach out to you. As you can tell from listening to her, she's going to give it to you straight, but with love. And, the questions I get are often like, is it okay for me to say this person or that? Well, she does that. She's coach. She'll tell you. She'll tell you exactly. And she's in it. So I hope that we'll lean into really taking advantage of that. And I'm so proud of you. Like I fangirled you back in the day. I'm like, oh, one day I'll meet Maisha Dible. And no, but because you're so gracious and you're so empowering to everyone, the entire rainbow, the entire colors of United Colors of Benetton. And that is how I aspire to be. And I think most of us aspire to be. So thank you so much for this, Maisha. We will definitely put all your information on the podcast page. And I have a question. What is the song you are crushing on right now?
Oh man.
You brought music up like from the get. So we got to ask.
Oh yeah.
I'm a good 90s, 80s, 90s girl. Oh man. And I was just listening to something. Oh, let me see. Let's see what the first song that pops up that I just listened to. Let's see how quickly I can do this. Ho ho ho. I like a good, I'm an R&B girl.
Oh, I was looking for the crickets. Hang on. I lost them. I can never find the crickets. Last one.
There they are.
No, I'm like, oh, this is so much pressure. Okay, let me just go to my playlist. Here we go. I like, oh, dang, why is this so hard? Okay, how about Don't Walk Away by Jade?
Don't walk away, boy.
You can totally tell my
words. No, and that brings me back to like 90210 because we'll get back to you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And then I love a good Carrie Underwood, Last Name.
Mm-hmm.
Good song. And a really good song, I think, for right now for people to listen to is Alan Stone, Unaware. I want y'all to Google that one.
I will. I don't know that one.
Yeah, I don't think I know that one.
And he will shock you on what he looks like after you hear his voice.
I love that.
Okay. Oh, so we should listen first.
Yes. Listen first. Don't Google. Just listen. Right. Unaware by Alan Stone. Listen to the word. It is the perfect time for today's age and what we need to do. Diversify your music and your network.
Love that. Thank you so much, Maisha. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Give it to me, girl. What's going on with you behind the scenes?
What is going on? It's finally warm here in Michigan, you guys. Like I am de-thawing from a deep, deep winter, a deep, dare I say, little bit of a sad depression, that seasonal thing that happens to us Michiganders. I hate that phrase, but it's nice. We had our kids' birthday party outside this week. Beautiful. Like we went from cold, freezing gray to like sweating, wearing shorts, hair up in a bun, hot mess. It was great.
I love the pictures from the party and so cute. How many days apart are they?
They are less than a month apart. So I've got an April 8th and a May 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
And I'm just saying, like, so Maddie kind of stole the thunder from my birthday because my birthday is the end of March. And then Davy steals Mother's Day. So, like, I don't even get a day in there. It's just, about my little babies, but I love them. So they can have it.
Do we need to give you like a half birthday?
Yeah, September 26th.
September. Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
My sister's
I'll take
birthday. My oldest sister's birthday, by the way, September 26th.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, we're like birthday buddies.
That's cool. So I think you have remember in school, if your birthday was during the summer, so you couldn't celebrate it in school, they'd celebrate your half birthday.
Yep.
Okay. You need to let.
We do that.
Yeah, we should. And you need to let the world know that it's September 26th and how.
All right. My dad every September 26th texts me happy birthday. And it's so sweet. And so then I get like mad at my husband because I'm like, do you not know what today is? He's like, no. Is it our wedding anniversary? I don't know.
He's like going through the Rolodex of dates. He's like, I don't know. It's not in here. Oh, that's.
Yeah. So
funny. I'm glad
I'm all for it.
Yeah. Cause you were at graduation 2 weeks ago and y'all looked cold. I was like, oh my gosh, the big house is awesome, but it can be cold. I know personally that big house can be cold when it's cold.
Holy schmoly. It was like winter. We were like in Emden buying all the Michigan merch, like blankets, hats. So I got some cute stuff.
I love that. You're like, so I'm happy. I got the merch, got the swag. In my world, I am not feeling good today. You know what? The big thing is that, Scott, it's been 2 years, not that I'm counting or anything, but it has been 2 years and 5 days, less than 2 months
of him home.
Yeah.
With you every day.
Me in my space. I work from home. And the funny story about that, March 17th, my birthday, PS, by the way, where the day the world stopped turning, was that the next day he was like, this is awesome. I want to stay home all the time. And I called my mom. I said, Mom, I don't know if we're going to make it. I'm telling you right now. Because he brought his computer into the kitchen area on the bar and was having meetings with no headphones on. Hiding. I'm like, this is not okay. We need to get you a desk. You need to go to the other side of the place. No, this is not working. So, but you adapt. And of course we stay together and life is good. But I'm not going to lie. He's like, you're going to like it, aren't you? I'm like, no, honey, I think I'm going to miss you. There are times where I text him or he'll text me and it's really sweet, but man, oh my gosh.
So he's back in the office.
He's back in the office.
He's gone.
He's gone.
For 8 solid hours?
Sometimes 8.5.
Ooh, the dream.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I would do the joke he has when I travel. He's like, I'm gonna do snow angels in the bed. I could do snow angels around the entire house. I could do it naked if I wanted to. No one would know.
You can just frolic in every room without being on somebody's Zoom.
Girl, I know. I'm tempted. And I can leave my door open in my office.
Yeah.
And not oh my God.
You can listen to music.
It's a new world. Yes. I can walk in from my personal training, when I get on the call with you.
Yeah.
And not hear this. Why are you so loud? I'm in a meeting, sir. This is my office.
Running my business over here I have been doing for years.
Just crushing it over here. Don't mind me. Don't mind the noise. So that I think is the biggest thing I need to share with you because that's huge. That, and I should mention that the short form podcast, Not So Pretty, came out is coming out. Well, it came out when
you guys are listening to us, it's out, but right now we are prepping. I saw some videos start to come through. So we are scheduling it. So you guys get a release and get to listen to it. And can we talk about what I did with the teaser?
Girl, let's talk about that. Let's.
So you guys, we have a VA on our team. She's amazing. Leslie, we love her. She works different hours than us. So we wanted to get this teaser out, but I knew she was probably sleeping. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. I'm like, at the end of my workday, I'm just going to put it out. And first, I accidentally put the video on. So it was taking 10 years to upload. And I was like, what is going on? What video am I uploading? So I canceled it. Finally found what I thought was the teaser, posted it, went off my merry way. And then Roxanne messages me that I put the unedited version out into the world.
Thank God, I listened to it. You know, when I saw it, I was like, 6 minutes. It's funny. I thought it was 3 minutes, but okay, it's 6-7 minutes. And then I don't know why, but I hit play. And so just so you all know, when we record, we have a team of fantastic people. So Gerald is our videographer, editor, and James is our audio editor. And so I hear this, hi, Gerald and James, which is how I always, and I'm like, why am I hearing that on Apple? I'm like, no. And it's like me going through different cuts of the teaser, like, oh, let me try that again. Oh, you know, and I'm like, are we joking?
Whoopsies. And you guys, Roxanne was very nice to me. She didn't yell at me. Maybe she was off of Slack, like cursing my name, but I was like mortified.
Apple though, because when I changed it and fixed it, I'm like, Apple change. Even this morning,
24 hours.
Girl,
it didn't change till this.
No, because it was already downloaded on my phone. So finally I was like, I refuse to listen to this. So I deleted it and then it came back on. So there are and the crazy thing is it was out for a couple hours and there were 50 people who just decided to listen to it.
It was maybe 2 hours, that short. So
like,
you guys got a real behind the scenes of our behind the scenes. Like, whoopsies.
But if you did
stay in my lane.
I know, right? I know that's what you say. Like, I'm gonna stay in my lane. It's funny. And if you did get that, you do want to listen to the real teaser because the real teaser, you'll see like the magic that is James, because it sounds 1,000 times better. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. And it goes on for 7 minutes and be like, let me do that again. Okay. And now I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna add this. I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I'm like, bye, James and Gerald. Thank you.
Guys, Mercury is in retrograde when we're recording this, and I'm blaming it fully on that.
You blame it on the rain. Do whatever you need to do.
It was me. It was my fault.
It's all good. We're human. Mm-hmm. We are human. All right, y'all. Well, that's the podcast. Share it with someone who needs to hear it.
Yes, please. We would love that, especially this conversation.
Absolutely. And if you haven't checked out Social Kits, you should probably go check out Social Kits before they go away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Social Templates Club, our monthly membership, is available for a little bit longer at this price. And then we're bumping it. So
you told them?
Oh, I told them. They need to know.
She laid it down. True. That's also true. What she said
is also true.
It is true.
So come hang out with us in Social Templates Club.
Yes, we'd love to see you there. I'm going to bed.
Good night.
Good night.